Hello everyone, Michael here, and welcome to this follow-up to the Picade. Now, a while ago, I uploaded a video that had me and my brother put this thing together with the Picade, and I did make some opinions and what I thought about it at the end of that video. If you want to take a look at that, you can go ahead and click on the card, or go ahead and click the link in the description if you want to know more, and especially with the time lapse. So here we are talking about this. Now I do want to point out that I'm just going to be talking about the build itself. I'm not going to talk about, well, at least for not much anyway, the RetroPie software or anything like that, because that's all software right there, as we're just talking about the hardware in itself. So let's go ahead and start with one of the things I thought I was going to have an issue with, which was the screen. Now, the screen is, as you can see, pretty small, and I honestly thought that in the future I probably would have had to upgrade the screen size to what I believe was an 8-inch screen to a 10 or a 12-inch screen, which was available. The manufacturers that make this kit did make some recommendations on what type of screens they recommend for a screen that size. However, it was in limited production last time I checked. However, thankfully, that turned out not to be an issue, as when you're really playing those games, you just completely forget about the screen size. That actually is at the right size, that you don't really notice it much. However, one thing I did notice, and it's kind of funny, that when you're playing a shooter game like 1942, I believe that was that arcade game where you shoot around and shoot other planes, it's a horizontal screen. So sometimes it will go ahead and squish the entire thing to the correct size. However, there is a setting in there that you can set so the thing doesn't change the pixels that round much, or the aspect ratio anyway. But other than that, the screen on here is actually pretty clear, sharp, and I'm honestly surprised of how well it works. As for the controls itself, I really love the joystick. I really do. The clickiness is just great. And it's actually really responsive based on the games that I have played. So yeah, there's not really much to talk about this, other than not planning to replace this thing anytime soon. But if I ever do a build that does have a joystick and it doesn't have this particular joystick, I'll make sure I actually buy one of those. I like it that much. The buttons, I said before, I wasn't much of a fan, and I'm still not. But the thing was, I got used to them over time. I thought that they were okay. For me, the reason why is because of the fact that it doesn't really have that clickiness sound when you're playing in the arcades. However, recently I did go to a couple of arcades, and I did notice that some of the buttons were like this. So it was probably under nostalgia goggles. But regardless, sometimes once or twice it feels like it doesn't get my input, but it actually really does. It's just that it doesn't really have like some type of feeling that the thing got your command. So regardless, the buttons work just fine. It's just that I'm just not really a fan of how they're built. Other than that, the speakers, they're wonderful. Especially if you're playing games that rely on music, or games that really have good music. These are pretty reliable in that regard, and they get pretty loud. So there's no issues with that there. Other than that, this thing has not shown any much wear and tear at all. In fact, the thing has been pretty solid the entire time. And one of the things that I did run into an issue with is that when you try to play games that require a second stick, or some kind of port PC game, these things do work. It's just that it gets really awkward. It's fun for a few, but not much. And it's not this thing's fault. It's this thing was built for arcade games, or games that are primarily 2D most of the time. So I highly recommend to have a USB controller like an Xbox controller, or a Bluetooth controller like the PS3. So overall, as I said before, This is a really great build. Everything has been reliable. There has been no issues aside from personal thoughts on the buttons, and I would highly recommend this build if you want to build like a little miniature arcade cabinet. This thing is just perfect for that. Now, as far as RetroPie is concerned, well, honestly, the thing works perfectly with this cabinet, but anything beyond that is really stuff for the software and RetroPie itself, and not the Picade. So there you go. That is my opinion of the Picade overall after all these months. If you guys like this video, go ahead, like and subscribe. Also hit that bell if you want to be notified when we upload a new video. And I'll see you guys next time.